This is another episode of the Family Ties series. And Flip, I have some questions I would like to talk to you about. On this episode, we are speaking with Flip Presley. Flip has been like our first brother. Me and Keisha always wanted a brother. And then came Flip, one of the best first brothers. But at the same time, there came a time where Flip had decided to make some different decisions. And during that time of making those decisions, it caused us all to separate. And that really made a huge impact on our lives, being that Flip was like a brother to us. And I just wanted to talk to Flip about that because I know how it affected me and Keisha and Juan and Jennifer. But I also wanted to know how was Flip feeling at the times when he was making those decisions, to do what he was doing, but also when he was on the other side of life, really, on the other side. And he didn't have us around anymore. So Flip, I just want to talk a little bit about that. Somebody else out there might make some of the wrong decisions and stuff. So I just want to talk about that.
So sure. Starting off with, being completely transparent, we're talking about making wrong decisions, meaning stepping out into the streets. Yes. In other words, I was involved in some illegal activity with drugs and became very prominent in the areas of what I was doing. Needless to say, I didn't think about the consequences that was about to take place, even though I tried to erase what was taking place at that moment. But being very transparent, I received 322 months, which is 26 years, 10 months in federal prison in 1997, same year my son was born. The effects of what took place not only affected me, but it affected all of my family that was around me. The sad part is, while going through those things, you don't know how it's affecting people. You can only worry about yourself in that moment. But being sentenced to 26 years, 10 months, and I was incarcerated for 19 years. I received clemency from President Obama in 2016. 60,000 petitioners filed for clemency, and I was one of the lucky ones to receive clemency.
Amen.
So my actual release date was in 2021, but I've only been home 7 years, going on 8 right now. But not to go into the deep details of what took place and what transpired, but after being sentenced, being sentenced to 322 months, you can't even fathom trying to count that amount of time. And not only, my son had just been born. I didn't get to touch my son until he was 6 years old. 6 months old. Let me refrain from that. 6 months old, because I was in county jail trying to, get to the actual facility where I was, where they sent me to Manchester, Kentucky. I lost contact with all of my family. I had certain friends that, I could connect with, but when you don't have the number memorized or whatnot, you can't reach out and say where you are or what's needed. Who's trying to help, who's trying to be there for me. Although I was still financially wise, I was fine for about almost 7 to 8 years, financially wise, because of the choices that I made in that moment. Not glorifying those things, but understanding that I did put up enough to make sure I was okay. But spending almost close to $100,000 just to get a lawyer, and then that lawyer pulling back from me, having to get a public defender outside of that was detrimental in my life as well. So the time span that I spent, the loneliness of being inside of those things, I had to recreate who I was, and I started to ask questions about what did I need to become? What could I teach my son, that 1-year-old son at that moment? What could I teach him? And I had to face the harsh reality. The harsh reality was I couldn't teach him anything but the street things that I were doing. So I recreated myself. It wasn't that I wasn't smart in school. I had great grades. I showed up and did everything I needed to do while I was in school. Had scholarships. For culinary arts. Y'all may not even know that either. I had scholarship for architectural drafting. right there before my eyes, and right before my eyes. But I also had, sports academia, because I was very fast in track and field. I played basketball, played football, all those other things. But I chose the life of being in the streets, which led me down that path. But while being incarcerated and seeing those things, it made me realize, what I had to change about me. And I worked on that. And, in due time, God will allow you to be rebirthed, just like the phoenix. You come back out, you go down in the fire, you come out a new being.
Yes.
That's why I still persevere, but all those things, all those stories that I've been around thousands of people that I've met over those 19 years, I didn't have that same circle. We didn't reconnect until I came back home. And it wasn't because you weren't looking for me. It was because you couldn't find me. Yeah. And I'm going from place to place. But very rough. I could go into detail of how that was, but me being the person that I was, yeah, I can laugh and joke and play and all these other great things, but I was also a force not to be reckoned with either.
Yes.
I hadn't always been the nice guy that was climbing a pair of trees and all these other different things. It turned into turned into something else, flip out. People were fearful, and especially when it came to them, any one of them sitting here, including her, I put myself in a different position, which I don't like being that person, but I know that's a part of me. And like I said, not glorifying those things, but understanding that those things that I had actually transitioned into prison. When I got to Manchester, Kentucky, people already knew who I was. So I didn't have anybody like threatening me or whatever. I mean, I had to prove a few points, but outside of that, out of those 19 years, I didn't have anybody threatening me or none of those things. The harsh reality is not being able to do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it. Someone tells you when to get up, when to go to sleep, when to eat, when to use the bathroom, when you can read your mail, when you can watch TV, and you have to count and say your prison ID number over and over again, 4 o'clock every single day for almost 20 years. That's the mindset. That's where the toughness comes in at, and trying to avoid being institutionalized, which that's almost next to impossible. So for those who are out making those decisions and don't quite understand the repercussions of what can take place, the end result, I know the rest of the story. I know the real story because I've been there, I've done it. If it's about money, I had it. It's not about the money. It's about status, I had it. If it's about being well known, I'm still well known. But what does that equate to when you lose all of your family, all of your loved ones, and the people that you can actually lean on, who you know is going to be in your corner? So much so that it made me bitter. So much so I was so bitter when I came home. The people that I didn't want to deal with, I told them directly to their face. That's one thing about me. I'm very upfront. I told them straight to them, if I don't know you from where I was or where you were before, I don't know you now. But I move forward. But as Juan being one of my best friends, but if not the best friend, I go back to my childhood thinking about, of course, how we were in Terracotta. I could stay at Grandma Clara's house. And nobody would say, you got a boy in the house. No, it was never that. But to be very transparent about, and I know I'm coming back to a childhood, but I want to be grateful and recognize and give flowers that the Rankin family took me in just like I was y'all sibling.
That's
right.
Fed me, although I may have been going through some of the worst times, staying on Causey Street in Greensboro, North Carolina, no power in the house, no food. I never showed those signs. But I would come and spend the night at Juan's house, even during the week. His parents would never ask the question, what's going on? Just here. I would walk into the refrigerator, make sandwiches, make food, as if I lived there. But that's what made me survive in those aspects. But that's why, it's important that you give those flowers.
Yes.
And understand that, you got real people that's going to be in your life. Because I'll never forget, before I even had a car, Juan had a car.
The Hyundai.
Juan got the Hyundai.
Ronnie
we-
King special.
Oh Lord, no power steering. No power steering. Roll the window down like this.
That was our thing.
Oh, my God.
We was everywhere in that car doing everything we needed to do. But what I didn't bring was my lifestyle around you all. I
Right.
never put anybody in jeopardy or in danger about
Yeah.
any of those things.
That's
But Ron
facts.
can tell you, there's some things. I mean, I've done some things to, put fear in the hearts of people that I shouldn't have done. And, those are some of the regrets that I have. But one of my biggest regrets is not being able to reach out to y'all and tell you that I still love you. I'm still here, regardless of what took place. I had choices to make, and the choice that I made ended me up to where I am. But what's more important is I need to hear how y'all felt about where I was when I was gone. And all four of y'all. That's very important that I hear that, because that's part of my own healing journey. Me understanding that. And I know that I can feel it. I know that already. I see it. Me and Juan, we already still hang out. We do almost every Sunday.
That's right.
So that ain't nothing new. I always check and see what's going on. But it's important that, I speak those things and I hear it and heal from it and continue to move forward, because healing is one thing, but understanding of where you've been and what you've endured, that's another.
Well, I know whenever this took place, I had just graduated from high school. And I just remember hearing the news like Flip got locked up. And I was like, what? And I remember I was standing on the front porch. And at first I thought, maybe it was because Flip never got in trouble.
No.
He never got in trouble. So that was so far-fetched to me. And, but then when Wendy and Shayna and everybody was telling me the length of time and it just didn't match. I was like, how can a person that's never got in trouble have these kind of consequences? This is not right. So I just remember being angry. I remember wanting more answers. I felt like somebody was taking my brother.
Yes.
And I was mad. I was very angry. And I was trying to see who had the answers, but we couldn't get the details. We were calling Grandma Sadie's house, we were calling Jeannie, we were calling everybody. But everybody kept saying, well, I'm still waiting. I'm still trying to hear this or hear that. And it was just a mix of emotions. My heart sank.
Yes.
It felt like it wasn't real. I was angry, and at the same time I was scared for Flip, because Flip is the nicest person ever to us.
Yes.
As far as him being our brother, and of course he is so protective of us. So it was just I just felt like I was losing my brother, and I wanted to know whose fault was it. So I started immediately looking for who to blame. I was like, who got Flip into this? Somebody did this, and I just wanted to know whose fault it was, because this is not Flip, and somebody needed to answer some questions. And so after a few days, I just was hearing more information, and then Ron started telling us more. And then once I came to the realization that it really was real, then I just remember for days I was just sad.
Yeah.
It was like I was beyond sad. Like I was crying and I was just hurting. And I was scared for him. I didn't know if people were gonna try to, I didn't know what to think. You see stuff on TV and I'm thinking he gonna have to go in there and prove himself, and what if what if they try to gang him? What if this, what if that? I was just thinking all this stuff, but then at the same time I knew Flip could handle himself.
Yes.
But I didn't want him to have to handle himself.
Right.
So it was just a mixture of everything, and I felt like it was so unfair, and I was just hurt. And to the point to where you wanted to keep talking about it so that you could see, well, what'd you hear? What'd you hear? But then another part of you didn't even want to talk about it because it hurt too bad.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, how does that make you feel to hear that from Keisha? Because you know Keisha don't usually express a whole lot.
Yeah, being that, you know, the first time hearing that it's hard to hear, but at the same time needed. But understanding that no one had those answers, and the harsh reality is, yeah, it was me. It wasn't anybody else, it was me. But I had to come to that conclusion my own, because at first I wanted to blame someone else either. I wanted to push the blame, hey, somebody else said something, or they had to do this to me, or whatever it may be. But the truth of the matter is I made that decision. If I was never involved in any of those things, it would have never happened. But I never looked at the consequences of how others would feel.
We love you so much. But I know for me, and then we're gonna see how y'all felt.
Yeah.
For me, being that me and Flip always had a good, joking, fun relationship, I was kind of like a tomboy a little bit.
Yeah,
for
we
a
all
while.
were.
Yeah.
A little bit more than a little bit.
Keisha was always doing her nails and stuff like that. Keisha sometimes wouldn't want to come outside, worried about messing
Well,
up her hair.
that was when I started, you know, caring about not breaking a nail, things like
Yes.
that. Then Flip started getting mad.
And be like, come on, Keisha.
We ain't got enough people.
Yeah. So anyway, I was kind of like Keisha to a degree, but I didn't blame somebody else because I also knew that Flip was, you know, he wanted nice things. He wanted, you know, all this different stuff, but I never seen him in different kinds of light. So I wasn't completely sure about what took place from the stories and all that stuff we were told. I was just kind of like, huh? Like, Flip? Like, for real? You know, mine was more like, come on now, Flip. You know, like, what? You know, because I knew, even though I loved him, I knew he still had the potential because he liked nice stuff at the time. And that's just keeping it real. You know, that's being honest. But as far as how it affected me, I was a little mad too. I was hurt, but I was also mad too, because to be honest, for some parts of that, Flip was more on the go and stuff, and for me, wasn't spending that time like he used to with us. So I was a little mad with him because I'm like, and you ain't even been coming to see us, and you ain't even been this, and you always out, and when I call you, I was on that end of it, a little bit mad, like, now you gonna be gone from us, now this, you was our only brother. You know, what am I gonna do now? When I have somebody new, I wanna introduce them to you. You know, like all of that was on the inside, like, Flip, I mean, like, I trust you. Like, you the person that I can come to and tell you about this guy or that guy or that guy. You can tell me this stuff.
I used to go and do the background check on them people.
Yes, I'm like, now you gonna be gone? Come on now, Flip. You know, mine was like that, but at the same time, I was still hurt, and then I didn't have a car either, but I was trying to figure out, okay, once this settle and we find where he is, how can we go see him? How can we go see him? Because living at grandma's and her being on a fixed income and all those kind of things, like, we didn't have a lot of resources as far as like traveling like far away, you know? So I just started talking to Ron, saying, Ron, when you going to see him? You know, stuff like that, and making connections like that.
Finally it happened.
And finally, man, it happened, and I was happy to see him, but after I went to see him for days, I was depressed.
Yes, I
Because he
remember.
couldn't come home.
I remember that. And I
Yeah,
remember.
but look, I ain't gonna cry, y'all.
Get your Kleenex.
I am not gonna cry.
I remember asking her because I wanted to see him, and I kept saying to Wendy, "Now, is it gonna make me
I ain't gonna
sad
cry.
to
I
see
ain't gonna cry.
him?
I'm keep it together.
Is it gonna make me sad to see him see him like that? Cause I mean, what does he look like? Does he have on, a jumpsuit? What is he? Does he still look like Flip? I was asking her so many questions because, like how she's about to cry. I didn't want to experience that, so I
Yeah.
was like, nah, I just wait. Yeah, because it's okay. Because Flip,
I know it's so many years ago, but y'all,
Yeah.
that was one of the hardest
it was
times.
so hard. That
was
so
our
hard.
brother.
Yeah.
It was definitely hard for me as well because watching y'all walk back out of the gates, I was grateful that you were there. And I put on the facade like everything is okay. Everything's all good. Oh, I'm good. At that time I'm working out.
Yeah.
And then she seen my hair. So at the time I had locks.
Yeah.
So they're like, he got locks? He always known for wave.
And he had a little bit of hair right here. I was like,
Hair on my face.
he never grew hair under arms, face, nothing. I was like, Flip got hair on his face.
But that was the hard part. The hard part was, grateful for the time that we could spend within that few hour visit. But, watching y'all leave back out and not being able to leave, that was very hard as well too. And that goes to show you when people don't understand the decisions that you're making and you go into that carceral system, you don't know the effects of what's taking place with families. And you think you're living this lifestyle or whatever it may be, and I'll never forget this because I know Juan is gonna tell some things, but this is like one of the heightened points of when I was doing what I was doing. I came to his parents' house. I remember this so vividly because when I tell the story, he gonna be like, I remember that. I walked through the door and I had this gold chain on. And the chain, I bought it it was by design, but it was by weight. And I had a 200-gram gold chain with a 180-gram charm on it that had all these diamonds and emeralds and rubies in it and everything else. And his dad, Mr. Rankin, turned and looked at me. He was like, he just stopped for a second. He was like, what's going on? I was like, nothing, Mr. Rankin, everything's cool. Blah, 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 trying to, play it off, but it was no playing it off. Because not only that, I got this big watch on, bezeled out, all these other different things. He's looking like, okay, I know what this is. You got the billboard on you. I know what you're doing. But for the first time and only time, I felt ashamed about that. Because I was highly respected by his parents.
Yes.
And then I walk in there looking like this dude that just came out of a rap video. I'll never forget that. And that really affected me in a certain, but from moving past that point, I never came over there with no jewelry on. Never again. Ever again. I didn't ride up into certain type of cars and all these other different things, but it just showed me that all of those things are just things. They don't mean anything. Because I could talk about where I am now, but we'll get to that later on. But it's amazing to me that when you go back and look at that time frame of what you're doing and how you're interacting with people, you forget who's who and what's important to you. Because y'all were always a vital, a staple point in my life, always. And it was like we always seen each other almost every day.
Every day. Yeah, that's
Almost every day.
right. That's right.
So that was very hard on me to, not be able to be in contact with anyone and be able to say anything to anybody, not even to send a letter. Because you can't remember the address or the phone numbers, you can't do anything about it. But yeah.
And one more thing too, the phone calls. When Flip would call and you would have to hear that whole, you have a
beginning of
call,
it, yeah.
this and that.
And hanging up. Yeah.
Hanging up and Flip real quick, he'd be like, I'll call you right back, Man, that was hard too. But we were so happy to hear his voice. we're like, Flip,
Yeah.
Flip,
Yeah,
come
Flip,
call him.
Flip on the phone.
So we be yelling, come, Flip, Flip.
Yeah, Flip on here.
And just that brief moment to hear, and he would play it cool. He would still sound like Flip, and we would say, "Are you okay? You know, what you doing? You know, how is what?" And he would keep on pushing the question back onto us
Yeah.
every time.
What y'all doing? How
You know,
y'all doing?
how y'all
Yeah.
doing? What you doing? One time he said to me, "You sound so technical." I said, Flip, I'm trying to expand my vocabulary. Leave me alone.
I'll follow suit later on, though.
Oh, me. It's all
So
right.
Jennifer, you want to share how it affected you?
Yeah, I was just shocked because I wouldn't think that Flip would do anything like that. It's so out of character. And we would go to school together. I would always see him and, you know, speak to him and stuff. And I knew he could run, so I knew he was going to get a scholarship somewhere at Smith. Because a lot of people have gone to Smith and got track scholarships for school.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was saddened when I heard that on the news.
Yeah, it was all over the news.
Yes.
In different counties.
Different counties.
Yeah.
Just recently, I just found out it was in actually every county in North Carolina. Just recently, I found that out. Yeah. You know, my character-wise, you know, like I said, I stayed out of the way on other aspects, but when it came to y'all, I didn't want anybody to even know what was going on.
Right.
Although, like I said, it wasn't that Juan knew all the details, but he knew that, hey, my bro is, I know what he out there doing.
And Juan did a good job
Yeah.
because he didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the Lord.
He's a lawyer
Yeah,
guy.
Trust
Brother
me.
from another mother right there.
He ain't gonna
That's
never tell nothing on me
Yeah.
or even mention nothing about anything.
Right.
Never mention a word.
So Juan, can you tell us how it made you feel?
First, I'm gonna say, this dude right here, first day we met, we clicked.
Yes.
We were just talking not too long ago. He asked me, he's like, Juan, man, have we ever had an argument? Like, and he's right. I thought about it. I was like, he's right. No, I don't think we have.
Yeah.
But I mean, from day one, we were kids, and I want to say we probably like, we first met, what, 10, 11?
Yeah.
Like, we just clicked from there. He's my brother. I could just tell. And I mean, going back to playing baseball in Claire's yard and collecting baseball cards and
A Garfield kid.
walking to the gas station to see if Rona and Alicia is there. When their mama was running the gas station.
Get them down later.
Oh my God.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
going to the bowling alley, trying to find girls there. Like,
Oh, Lord.
I mean, we go way back. Like, it's crazy. But I mean, like, we just clicked from there. But I guess to fast forward it, yeah, when he had the situation, yeah, it hit me. It hit me a different way. And I told him not too long ago, I was like, I always feel like I owe him because I didn't ever get to go see him and stuff like that. And I'm like, this, you know, I kept getting these like reality checks, like something telling me like, that's your brother, man. Like, you know, but like I said, I always say to him, like, man, I feel like I owe you. Anything I can do, you know, I'm there. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what it is, you know. But yeah, it hit different. You know, I can remember him coming to the house and he had told me what happened. And I was like, man, you know, we got you, like, you know, spend the night, whatever. You know, 'cause he came over to the house, like, I think right after.
Yeah, I was on the run then.
Yeah. And, you know, my mom and dad, you know, they know he family.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, do what you gotta do, Flip, you know, we're here. You know, we got you. But like I said, it just hit different. And, you know, when he went in, you know, I was like, man, like when he get out, you know, I'm thinking positive. I'm thinking like he ain't going long, not Flip.
Yeah.
Flip's not Flip.
Not
He can't go for long. That's not possible. But you know, but when reality hit and he did spend that time, you know, it just gave me time to reflect on our relationship and how we got tight and how important he is to family and stuff. So it was a tough time. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, man, I really, truly, I remember nights that I would sleep on them hard beds. You know, there's things that you lose while you go in those situations. Emotions is one of them. I became very, very stern and harsh about life. But while I was in there, and I started to reinvent myself and surround myself with different things and reading and studying, got my associate's degree in business administration, and being around people who actually started multi-million-dollar companies, billion-dollar companies, I came back home with a plan. And just in a very short period of time, not only have I'm the general manager of a company, but I also started my own company. I help I fight, I try to combat, racism by explaining an analysis that was shared to me, that I work with another organization with. Motivational speaker, I go and speak with kids as much as possible. Just recently got back from New Bedford, Massachusetts, where I had spoken to 500 plus kids at a college.
Good job.
Before I got there, the age bracket was from 16 to 24, and they were killing each other almost every day. I've been gone 2 years, and I just went back just this week, and I asked them, I said, what's everything looking like? I still have some people that I'm in contact with up there. He said, well, the age bracket is not 16 to 24 anymore. We haven't had any incidents since you've been gone.
Amen.
But the age bracket is going down. Now it's younger kids, 12 to 13 years old. So I spoke with him, and I told him, I was like, so you know what the blueprint is? Not just me, but understanding that you got to show compassion and love in those spaces and speak up and allow people to tell the story, the real story of how it is. And then real change can happen. So with collective. So I'm grateful that I still have my collective.
Yes.
And we're going to continue to grow. We're going to still continue to do things. And we're going to live the rest of our lives out together.
Yes.
That's right.
And we love everybody. Yes,
so true.
yes.
That's right.
So is there one thing that you would like to share with somebody that,
I got one more thing to say.
okay. Yeah, is there one thing that you would like to share with somebody else that could be in a situation where they're trying to figure out what decisions to make, and then afterwards Juan would like to share something else?
Yeah, when you in that type of situation, you're living that lifestyle, and you think that you're doing the right thing, and you think that the glitz, the glam, the glory, and all of these, whatever, male or female, coming your way. You have to understand that the end result could be the death, or you losing your life by being inside of the federal prison system or state prison system. If you're that person right now, I want you to just stop and think about where your life could be, and you can make a change right now in that moment to where you start to surround yourself with other people. If you don't have those resources, if you don't have someone that's in your space, you can find and reach out to those who are in the area who can help and give you a different direction on that path.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, this man right here, he's a walking testimony of perseverance. That's what he is.
Amen.
And it's made me look at things that I do. Like, if this man can do and come from what he came from, going through that turmoil of tough times and all that, it just shows that you can never get too low to bring yourself back up.
Yes.
It's always a possibility to come back from any mistakes that you've made, no matter how bad the mistake is. So I learned a lot from Flip. It's my brother right there. It's my brother.
That's good.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Love all of y'all.
We love you too.
Too, Flip.
And you have tuned in to another great episode of Pick Me Up Sis Podcast, the Family Ties series. Thank you for tuning in with us, where we impact, motivate, and impact people all over the world.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Oh.